Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Wow, what a big day. What a big day. What a big 24 hours for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, last night we did the stream where we had 3 guests there for the winter. By the way, we were live every single night for the winter meetings. The numbers were awesome. Thank you for everyone who watched, tuned in, and watched if it was live or after the fact. We appreciate you guys. But then we just banged out 2 interviews today. You will get those interviews in succession this weekend. Greg Amsinger of MLB Network, who is fantastic. There was a lot of glazing happening in that interview, but he deserves it. I fucking love Greg. And we just got done interviewing Cody Ponce, who we promised to you on Monday. I was like, yeah, let's get Cody. And then Cody was like, I'm fucking down. Like now, like you want to do it now? We'll do it now. He actually arranged his whole schedules to be able to do the BID interview today. You guys are going to love that interview. I put the stamp of approval guarantee on that. Yeah, that you're gonna love that interview. You're gonna walk away from that being like, I'm not a Blue Jays fan, but I'm a Cody Ponce fan. I can tell you that right now.
It'd be hard to not walk away like that.
Yeah, he just created a bunch of new fans for himself with that interview. I assure you, I promise you. I also can promise you that the Underdog Fantasy app is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. You can play their pick'em game. It's as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs. Once the season starts, you can figure it out with other sports. I'm not an other sport guy, but it is what it is. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Jared. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this, because the podcast audio listeners and the YouTube people, you're going to want your reaction to Pete Alonso if you're anti-stream. We basically treated the stream last night like a podcast. So to avoid, I guess, giving the same takes twice, we're just going to give you the part of the stream where we broke down Pete Alonso, especially since we just did 2 hours worth of interviews, and there's no point in double giving Pete Alonso takes. So Pete Alonso to the Baltimore Orioles. Here's what we had to say last night on the stream. I mean, I have nothing for Dallas's trolling this evening. I really don't.
Yeah, this sounds like a defeated man.
Oh God, just beat down.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I have to choose my words carefully. In terms of like conversations that have been had after the Pete Alonso signing. There are some people that are the Red Sox are very wary of Pete Alonso because of his age. Okay, he's the same fucking age as Alex Bregman, who you want to bring back. He's the same age as all the guys that they've targeted. What are we talking about? This report just came in.
It sounds like somebody has left the freezer unplugged in the scoop shop and shit is melting. Just sticky fingers all over the place.
I'm more concerned about Craig Breslow's health. I mean, I'm hearing reports that he's not even well enough to be talking to people at the winter meetings, and that might be causing the Red Sox to not be able to get some deals done.
I got to tweet this out. He's the same age as just about every other target. Sox.
I'm not gonna lie, Jay. Looking at Brez sitting on the stage, like just kind of like staring at Amsinger, or I think it was Amsinger. It was just like he gave me like Zuck vibes, like Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was drinking the blood of other people for sustenance, right? That sort of vibe. Yeah.
Like I can't wait to get that adrenochrome IV as soon as I'm done here. So I can figure out how to put this baseball team together. I mean, I everybody knows how much I love Brez, former teammate of mine. The former SMIB, which is smartest man in baseball. True story. He had SMIB on his cleats. And,
that's crazy. I feel like that's information that Red Sox fans don't want to hear right now.
Yeah.
Was that? Sorry, there was zero intent behind that. There was zero. I was just trying.
The literal self-proclaimed smartest man in baseball.
Well, that and the like fucking 32 on the ACT and the 1600 on the SAT.
Wow,
and
32. Wow.
Yeah.
Not for everybody.
No. Shout out to Jayhay though. I mean, he nailed that. I was like, hey, if it's not the Mets or the Red Sox, who is it going to be? He's like, how about the fucking Orioles, huh?
Oreos.
I know you don't want to hear this. I'm not excited because I quote unquote got it right because we were just fucking bullshitting. But I'm excited because I think it's an exciting landing spot for Pete Alonso. I think it is though.
He's going to rot there.
That there is a possibility that it plays out that way. Yeah.
He's got to take advantage of what I referred to affectionately as the Goldilocks wall. No, the wall.
Oh, okay.
The Goldilocks wall.
At least like the area. There's some areas there that are nice.
It was too deep. It was too short. Now they feel like they've got it just right. Is he going to be able to? Is that going to be a thing for him to have to worry about? I mean, I don't know how many wall scrapers Pedro's pumping out of the yard these days. They're pretty much homers when he hits them.
Jared's going to disagree with all of this. So that's fine. But the baseball is better when Baltimore is relevant and cooking. That when that ballpark is going, I do agree that there is a percentage possibility that we don't talk a lot about Pete Alonso over the next 5 years because he's on a team that routinely wins 76 games or whatever because this doesn't work. But I think there is enough here worth trying to salvage where I just go back to the point that I made on the last time, which is that you have a window before Gunnar Henderson is no longer with the team and or prohibitively expensive. And that goes for a number of other people as well. So why not take your shot at it? And I know a lot of people were blanching at the price tag, and I get that. It's more money than I think objectively people would probably want to pay Pete Alonso. But, I think Kylie McDaniel tweeted out the famous line, if you're rational about every free agent, you will finish second or third in every free agent bidding. You have to be a little irrational to win the free agent bidding. And I don't think that this is a terrible use of that adage.
Well, we heard it last night from Morosi, who I think said what we all understand to a point where teams are trying to be competitive or trying to announce themselves on a new level. You're going to have to overpay at some point in time to show somebody or show potential future targets that you're serious about what you're doing. And I mean, that's just the nuts and bolts of it. Like if you're not in a position where your cachet is a big attractor, then how are you going to be reeling these guys in? How do you attract somebody else, right? Like you have to show somebody that you're willing to pay, much like people are wondering, okay, well, what's going on when we talked about the Detroit Tigers? Your effort to bring in free agents, a lot of that is based on what they think the future looks like with or without a Tarek Skubal, because that's a big part of how competitive you think you're going to be. So I think it goes hand in hand. If you're willing to spend and maybe overspend to make yourself relevant, then from there, you'd like to think that leads to greener pastures.
There's also just an interesting element to it. Like he's going to a swing team. He's going to a team that it's not like Diaz going to the Dodgers where it's like, well, we know the fucking Dodgers are good. So we kind of know what the math is on that. We'll see you in the playoffs sort of thing. Like Pete Alonso won't decide the Orioles season, but he could influence the direction that this all goes. And I think that alone is more interesting than him signing with a complete also ran, like when, Bryant signed with the Rockies and it was just kind of like sad, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or the opposite of that, which is signing with a great team where we already know the outcome kind of.
Yeah, the idea of them being a swing team, I think is one thing. I would like to think that Pete Alonso is a needle mover, like him in that lineup and them performing and bouncing back like we've talked about in the past. That makes a huge difference. Right? They get the right-handed power sandwiched in between the heart of that lineup right there, right? Whether it's Gunnar from the left side, Adley from the left side on any given day, you've got Pete right in the middle of those two. I mean, it starts to look really sexy, and that's why I think the Baltimore Orioles absolutely have to start making a push now in the pitching market. I mean, why stop here? Why stop here? I think it's understood that you feel like you have arguably one of the better lineups in baseball, not just your division, in baseball now. How do you supplement that? How do you make that count? Well, you got to go get guys who can get outs. And whether that's somebody at the back end of the bullpen like Suárez, whether that's somebody in the rotation, and there's a list of options that you could go for there, whether it's through the trade market or through this free agent cycle, like there are options there. But if and I'm going to ask these guys these questions, the guys that we have coming on, if you're looking to separate yourself, like for the Phillies, for instance, right now with the Mets sort of floundering and trying to figure out how they're going to pick themselves up by the bootstraps after losing, arguably 3 of their best players, what better time for the Phillies to pounce on the market from an arms perspective and go, sorry, bud, you thought you guys were going to have a chance to climb back into this thing? We're taking everything else you would think that you could go get right now to keep yourselves or make yourselves competitive, whether that's back into the bullpen help, because we know you need that because your boy's out in Hollywood now. Well, we'll take the next best. Suárez, boom, come on home. Ranger.
Well, didn't Morosi say that they were gonna trade Jeff McNeil?
Well, I mean that's a piece, yeah.
I would be very depressed right now if I were a Mets fan.
Oh,
I'm trying to not be selfish because, I mean, the Red Sox were like, yeah, we're going to add 2 big bats, and they added 0 big bats, and the 2 big bats are gone, and Bregman's still out there, but he was just supposed to be like, all right, we'll bring back Bregman and then add a big bat. So like the Red Sox situation is kind of fucked right now. But if you're a Mets fan, you've got to know like this is bad. Like this is, but again, like it's the Mets. Like I feel bad for Mets fans. I don't feel bad for the Mets. Like the Mets didn't even make him an offer. How do you not even make him an offer?
The Mets thing, I'm with you. Like I think obviously it sucks. I also feel so conflicted about how they should feel or how because intuitively or intellectually what David Stearns is doing or how they're approaching this is he showed hesitance towards investing in a relief pitcher long-term at big dollars. And he showed hesitance towards investing in a corner slugger, offense only, pretty low on base percentage by the standards of this type of player, corner bat who's entering his early 30s. Like that aligns with just about everything we've learned about baseball over the last 20, 30, 40 years of analyzing it. And yet it feels like an incredible missed opportunity for the Mets because you have this $800 million player who now feels closer to, like, it's not A-Rod in Texas, but it feels like we're getting way closer to that than I ever would have anticipated. And it's just like, what is the point of Juan Soto
being there?
If you're just going to tap out on Pete Alonso and I guess Edwin Diaz wanted to leave, whatever, but like it just doesn't feel like they're building in the right direction following a massive signing.
And think about this, because for me, there's like outside of anyone who's available on the mound, I feel like there's one key fit for them right now that they got to go get for their needs. One key fit. That's Cody Bellinger. You need somebody to help you in the outfield, mainly center field, and you need to replace what you just lost at first base. And I'm not telling you that Cody Bellinger is a 1-for-1 over there with Pedro. That ain't happening. But the versatility, and you've got multiple voids that need to be filled, and there's one guy out there that can go and fill those for you. That's that dude. That is that dude. And if they're looking to not spend or, like you said, not make commitments to a certain guy, like how is he not the dude?
Do you think that the Mets simply just didn't want Pete Alonso back, or did they take for granted that he wanted to be there and they were like, we can kind of just take our time with this?
I feel like it could very well be a combination of the two, but I think it's probably 60-40, maybe even 70-30. Like, I think we're good on the polar bear experience. I think we have maximized what we think we can
make sense of that for me.
I can't, man. Other than they feel like he's aging. They feel like what they saw 2 years ago was enough for them to be put off for any sort of extended future commitment. And they look maybe at last year like, okay, sure. I'm not going to call it lightning in a bottle, but hey, that was a great bounce back. Don't know how many more of those he's got in him. And I don't know that he's going to run that out there for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And that's how they felt. And they were more than willing to walk away from that, not making that commitment with the question mark that they had.
I'm okay with their analysis that leads them to, we don't want Pete Alonso at 5 and 150 for the ages that we're talking about. Like, that makes sense to me. Where I run into the problem thinking this out is just like, it's not that you are required to overpay to go get or retain people once you have a player like Juan Soto. But I just go back to, like, what is the point of this? What are we building towards? Was Juan Soto an ownership decision, and every other baseball decision is going to be driven by David Stearns in the front office? Because that's fine, I guess, but that doesn't feel like it's going to align in a way where you're capitalizing on the Juan Soto deal and him being in New York. Like, they feel further away from a championship than they did when we were talking about them post Juan Soto last year. And what is the point of that? What are we doing?
Well, that's why it's not fine, Jayhay. Like, to push back, that's why it's not fine, is because if that's how you're operating, where the owner, and understandably so, gets to step in and go, huh? What? No, we want that. I want that. Go get me that. How much does that cost? All right, I want that. And then he gets that. And then he's like, now you guys do whatever you need to do. Because now that group is going, all right, well, fuck. Homeboy just spent $800 million on Soto. We're going to have to be smart about how we build the rest of this thing up. And now those are two very conflicting approaches to building a baseball team. And that, for me, that doesn't align. That is as misaligned as my teeth were in elementary school. Like, that just cannot happen. It can't. You can't operate successfully that way. It just can't.
I had a tweet earlier. I said, legitimately fucking embarrassing. How can this organization continue to talk such a big game and routinely not back it up? You say you need a big bat. This dude right here was the perfect fit. And you come in with some fucking Miami Marlins ass offer. Embarrassing. Originally, that Miami Marlins, I had Oakland A's in there, and I was like, there's no need to bring Dallas into this. And I deleted it and I changed it to Miami Marlins because I was like, A's fans probably follow because they're BID people. I was like, there's no Marlins fans out there. So, like, they're not going to get offended by this shrapnel in this tweet. Like, I don't need to bring the A's into this. So I did change it, and I did that for you. And I did it for the A's faithful as well.
Well, that's much appreciated. We're going to have a gentleman on here in a few minutes to kind of dive in to what the green and gold may be doing, may not be doing, because to be honest, we haven't heard much of anything at all, and we might be able to shine some light on that. But yeah, it's it's tough because I know how excited Red Sox fans were for the potential to not only bring Pete Alonso in, but you're marrying that with the excitement and the hope, because remember, boys, we're selling hope here. Up with hope and down with dope, as Dave Chappelle said.
Sorry to the Marlins fan in the chat, but you understand. Like, it had to be someone to make the tweet work. It had to be a team that wouldn't make an honorable, honest effort to sign Pete Alonso. But it's interesting because it when something like this happens, it affects three different fan bases, right? Like, there's the Red Sox aspect, there's the Mets aspect, there's the Orioles aspect. And, I always look for what's interesting. I think all three angles are very interesting. Jayhay, you hit on the Orioles part of it. I've, exhausted the Red Sox end of it, but I think I would kind of power rank it as the Mets angle being the most interesting here, because you kind of have to pick a path here. I know that the Brandon Nimmo trade shocked a lot of people, longest tenured Met, and he gets his bags packed. And I want some sort of investigative reporting on what was the thought process with this free agency for Pete Alonso from the Mets perspective. What about it? How could a player that, you have basically three teams, Mets, Red Sox, Orioles, that were in on him, and the two other fan bases would be fucking stoked if they saw breaking news signed to the Orioles, signed to the Red Sox. Those fan bases would rejoice. And then the Mets are like, we didn't even make him an offer. He wanted to be here, and we were just like, that's awkward. We don't really want you to be here. Just the dynamic to me is kind of fascinating because, on the surface, I get it. Dude doesn't have range at first base. Yeah, he's on the wrong side of 30, but isn't his track record that he's just going to sock 35 to 40 home runs and drive in 100 runs and just be that dude? Like, what expectation did you have other than that? Like, no one expected him to be a Gold Glove first baseman. Can he make the easy plays? Yeah. Okay. Sure. Stick him in the middle of any batting order and it's going to be better because of it.
I think David Stearns let us know how he felt last offseason. I think it's driven by the front office. I just don't think they value Pete Alonso at that price point. And I think they told us that. And then the reporting is that they were not even competitive in the negotiations or the back and forth this time.
Jorge Castillo, ESPN, I wouldn't say a busy day, but it was definitely an eventful day with a lot of drama. We opened the show, obviously talking Pete Alonso. Can you give me any insight as to why the Mets just didn't give a shit at all that he was available? Like, why is the franchise home run leader just sitting out there, and the Mets who are they're not in a position where it's like, we have a litany, we have an embarrassment of riches in terms of talent, so like we don't need him. Like this is a guy that they need. Why was there no offer?
I mean, I think we saw last year how they valued Pete Alonso. They just didn't really value Pete Alonso. So a year later, I mean, he did his thing this year. It was a great year for him. 36 home runs, led the National League in doubles, 871 OPS. He's been a guy since he showed up in 2019. And David Stearns and his crew, his people, they don't value Pete Alonso, the player, like the market did this time around. Last year, Pete Alonso did not have this market. The Blue Jays were kind of involved, and Pete Alonso wanted to go back to the Mets on that deal. And he had that year, and he found that multi-year deal that he was looking for. And David Stearns, they just weren't comfortable going there. And that's just the way it is. And, it's not – this dude was a real fan favorite. He was the guy in New York. And it's going to be tough to replace that production and that presence in the lineup behind Juan Soto. So, I mean, I'm curious as to, there's not like a bunch of right-handed hitter, like power bats out there like this guy. So, yeah, but the David Stearns and his people, they put values on these guys, whatever they think these guys are worth, and they decided that Pete Alonso is not worth that.
I want to give you. I want to give you two directions to go here, because there's an opportunity for them to make a splash on the pitching side of things. There's an opportunity for them to go out and reel in a big bat offensively and help them out. What do you foresee them doing? Because our man Jayhay and I were just discussing sort of the contrasting approaches between the owner and then the baseball operations department. And what do you see coming to fruition, whether it's help on the mound or help in the lineup? And what do you think that the Mets should be doing?
I think they're going to go both routes. I think they are definitely going to get a starting pitcher. That to me is something that's going to happen. Obviously, like the starting pitching market, the free agent market isn't like, we saw Cisco off the board, 210. That's a lot of money. You guys were talking about Framber just now, Ranger Suarez. There are guys out, Michael King. There are guys out there that would definitely help this team, because Nolan McLean's the guy, man. Like that he's the number one. But I think what they could go out and get is another number one type, a 1A, and then McClain could be a 1B. It's a Skubal. Is it Peralta? There are guys out there. Do they bring a Mackenzie Gore? Man, he's not up to that level, but can they get a guy who can be a, game 1, game 2 starter if you reach the postseason? I think that's definitely going to happen. I think the Mets are going to be aggressive on that front. What happened last year, they couldn't get a guy to go 5 innings besides David Peterson for like 2 months. Like, They killed that bullpen. They need length from their starters. Kodai Senga and the Mets, they have a weird relationship. It's strange. The guy, I don't know what's going on there exactly. David Stearns this week said that they've had better communication, but that's a guy that's been floated out there in trades. David Peterson has been floated out there. I think they want to upgrade the rotation. When it comes to position player, I mean, Cody Bellinger fits like really well. They literally just traded Brandon Nimmo, their left fielder. They need an upgrade in center field. Juan Soto is really regressed defensively in right field. And then you just lost your first baseman. Cody Bellinger plays those 4 positions. I mean, he can handle New York. He's handled LA. He's played in big markets. He was really good last year. I really like watching Cody Bellinger play baseball, man. He does everything right. Fundamentally, he has pop. He fits there, in my opinion. So I think they're going to do both. I think the Mets, it's obviously everyone in New York and Queens is going crazy right now. Oh my God, we just lost these guys back-to-back days. 2 weeks ago, we lost Nimmo. But there's a lot of time, there's a lot of time left. Steve Cohen has a lot of money. They can do a lot of things. And I think they're going to do quite a bit. And what I've what's happened here between yesterday and today, and really that Brandon Nimmo trade, David Stearns looked at this roster and was like, yeah, this isn't it. This core, like we had that in Burn in 2024. I gave these guys another year. Yeah, it's time for me to go in here and do what I want to do now. And that's what he's doing.
Were you surprised that Alonso signed as quickly as he did? Because, I mean, the money might have been right from Baltimore, but wouldn't he have been better served to at least wait it out a little bit longer to see if other teams would have joined the fray? It came off like, all right, like I have 3 teams that are interested. This team offered me the most. Done. I'll take it.
I think once Schwarber signed, I mean, he knew his market was, 5-150. Once Schwarber signed, it was Alonso's turn, right? So it was Red Sox, Orioles, Cubs seemed to be the teams that were most into him. And, once you get your offer, it's like, all right, let's go. And 5 for 155, and you add the 30 he just made, 6 years, 185 since hitting free agency last year. No one thought Pete Alonso was going to get that. Like, that's a good job by not just Scott Boras, but Pete Alonso for betting on himself and doing what he did. So I think 5 for 155 is a great deal for Pete Alonso. And if you hold out on the Orioles, maybe the Orioles go out and get somebody else, a Kyle Tucker or whoever else out there, or they trade for somebody. So I think Scott Boras saw the pieces. He saw the board. He has a lot of pieces for this board, and he was like, "All right, Pete Alonso, you're going here to Baltimore for a contract, no deferrals, no opt-outs, straight $155 million guaranteed." And that's a haul for Pete Alonso.
Wow. Big thanks to Dallas Braden, Justin Havens, and Jared Carabas for joining the show. That was awesome. Thank you, guys. Those are awesome takes.
Better this time.
Yeah, big time. Big time. But by the way, BetterHelp. We got to talk about BetterHelp. BID is sponsored by BetterHelp, as it has been in the past. It's a tough time of the year. The holidays are a time for traditions. Some people have many in their family, while some have none or are just beginning their own. Now's the time to reflect on what they mean to you, or rewrite those traditions and make your own, like performing or perfecting a new hot chocolate recipe. By the way, it's milk, it's milk and it's chocolate and water.
Buddy, there's so much more that you could bring to the table. Don't shortchange a solid hot cocoa.
Are you a whipped cream guy or no? Whipped cream?
Are you fucking serious? The guy who's a Frappuccino mode whipped cream top bottom? Yeah. Believe it.
Dallas tries to put whipped cream on the top and bottom of his hot chocolate, and it doesn't go as well.
Yeah, I can see that being an issue.
The bottom melts.
Yeah, it's also an issue if you're not in online therapy. I will say that. Share your family. Well, here's the thing. This time of year, it's a very positive, it's a very cheerful time of the year. But I think we can all admit it's kind of a difficult time of the year as well. There's happiness, but there's also times where it's like, all right, well, wish I could have somebody to talk to right now about some difficult things that are going on in my life. That's why I've been in online therapy for over a decade. A decade and a half. Oh my God. Wow. Where does the time go? I don't know. BetterHelp. Therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and their 12 plus years of experience and industry leading match fulfillment rate means that they typically get it right the first time. If you aren't happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recommendations. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, having served over 5 million people globally, and it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This December, start a new tradition by taking care of you, and our listeners get 10% off at betterhelp.com/baseball. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball. Robert Suárez has signed with the Atlanta Braves. That is not the landing spot that I think any of us thought that he would end up in. I like the fit, I guess.
Absolutely.
Did they bring Iglesias back too, or no? Isn't Iglesias? Yeah, yes. They did.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah, no, he's back. And this is why I mentioned I had asked everybody that we had on during the winter meetings, what were they hearing about Atlanta? And it was because I felt like Atlanta was a team that was watching things go on around them, that was hearing murmurs and whispers around them. And I think was clear and obvious that they needed to be a player in the pitching market, whether that was going to be in the starting rotation, which is what I thought, to help supplement a couple of the young and up and comers. I felt like this was going to be a landing spot and could still very well prove to be a landing spot for one of the arms out there in the rotation. But now you go and you help solidify the back end of your bullpen with a guy who had more saves than anybody last year. Yeah, let's go ahead and roll that out there. And that does a whole lot for this staff. That does a whole lot, because what are we all saying about the Atlanta Braves? They've got it. They absolutely have to be healthier than they were last year. And if that's the case, which it will be, then you got to expect a much better overall level of production from everybody in the lineup. And if that's the case, well, now having the last 6 outs of the ballgame accounted for becomes a really big deal. And they just did themselves that favor by locking up Suárez.
The Robert Suárez, so much like a relief pitcher signing makes sense for just about any team, I think it makes sense for the Braves. It's the one position that everybody needs at all times, and he was one of the best ones available. The Braves bullpen last season was not very good. The only teams by wins above replacement that were worse than the Braves bullpen were the Marlins, Angels, D-backs, Rockies, and Nationals. So 4 completely uncompetitive teams, and the D-backs were worse than the Braves bullpen last year. And if you just like good old-fashioned ERA, their 4.19 ERA ranked 19th in MLB. So they needed help. The one dynamic that I think is interesting, maybe not important, but interesting, is just the practical matter of the guy that they've now announced will remain their closer is on a 1-year, $16 million deal. And the guy that they've announced is the setup man for that closer is on a 3-year, $45 million deal. And you can debate who is better or who not. And maybe it doesn't matter because they're all going to pitch important innings. But I did think that is at least a little unusual. I cannot think of another example where the setup man was not only making 3 times as much money as the closer, the incumbent closer, but they were both free agents in the same offseason and signed those deals in the same offseason. So that's just kind of neither here nor there, but interesting. And both guys rank in the top 5 in saves since the start of 2024-25. So saves, ERA, strikeout to walk, whatever you want to use, they've improved their bullpen considerably with this signing.
Happy for the Braves. I mean, it was a fucking weird year for them. Like, they didn't suck. They just played sucky. Is that fair to say? They're not like an untalented team.
No, and if you're and look, we all know what it means to not be healthy and what that does. Like, it feels like you got, when one leg heals, the other one starts to cramp up, and you're still hopping your way to the finish line instead of being able to sprint. And it's not a way to finish a season. It's not a way to start a season. And you definitely can't sustain any sort of success you might be having if you are constantly trying to plug holes, right? You're just going from one hole to the other and you got fucking toes and shit involved. It's just not good.
I think the Braves are on the shortest list for most fascinating teams entering 2026. Like, when we start to run through teams closer to spring training, I think this is just an incredibly fascinating year for the Braves franchise, and mostly because it's an incredibly interesting year for so many individual contributors on the Braves. What is Ronald Acuna, and are they really going to consider trading him as his value contract comes to an end? Is Austin Riley just permanently on the decline, or is he still a core player for them? What even is Ozzie Albies moving forward? What is Michael Harris, who they still have under contract, moving forward? You have Drake Baldwin's, kind of sophomore post Rookie of the Year win. What does he bring? The pitching staff is littered with various questions. Chris Sale's inevitable decline, is that going to come at an inopportune time for the Braves? What does Spencer Schwellenbach bring after last season's was kind of derailed by injury down the stretch? And who the fuck is Spencer Strider? And is he a guy that can front to? That is the number one. It's him and Acuna, but that's as big as any question, because if he's not a number 1 or a number 2, it's a little difficult for me to see how this rotation works to the extent that the Braves want it to.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Strider, when we were doing our preseason predictions and everything, I very much recall picking him for Cy Young one of those years. So he had that kind of ceiling to now it's like, is he guaranteed a rotation spot? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like we're at that point. And injuries are a motherfucker. I get it. But at some point, you've got to prove to be healthy and be available. So
well, and they owe him real money too. Like they owe him $62 million over the next 3 seasons. So they signed him to that deal that looked like a really nice win for the Braves organization at the time it was signed. And, due to injury, he has just pretty much gone straight down since that point. So you got to see if he can bounce back.
Yeah, I would say that that's a huge necessity for the Atlanta Braves. Mike Yastrzemski, speaking of the Braves, 2-year deal going to Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't be like, yeah, I like the fit. I like any place that Mike Yastrzemski gets a job. I like the player. I think he can help. I think, obviously he wasn't fantastic last year. It was a weird year for him getting moved to the Royals from San Francisco. But yeah, we'll see what it looks like. It's, anytime that a guy like that played so much time, has spent so much time in the minor leagues and has gone on to have a successful big league career, and being able to make it to free agency is a win in its own, just to get there. And once you get to free agency, not just a big league deal, but a multi-year deal, like that's how I look at it. Like I'm looking at it from that perspective, not like, oh, how does he fit in with the Atlanta Braves? Like I'm looking at it as good for you, Mike Yastrzemski.
Yeah, win for the player, and I think it's a win for the team as well, just because of what you hope he's able to bring to the table.
Well, yeah. He's got a defined skill set. He hits right-handed pitchers, and it's not like their outfield rotation has been the model of availability and consistency over the last couple of seasons.
Let's see. Kyle Finnegan back to the Tigers. So that is that one slipped through the cracks on kind of a chaotic day at the winter meetings, but I like it. I don't know how, like, bringing back like a high leverage reliever while you're also entertaining trading your star player. It's kind of like, if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm like, what message are you trying to send me right now?
Well, this has been the conversation with the Tigers. There's really no move.
Pick a lane.
There's no move that they can make that isn't going to lead back to, all right, well, what about Skubal? Like, there's just not. Because if you're not making moves, it's because you're trying to entertain what that's going to look like. And if you are making moves, then I think you understandably want answers immediately to what you're doing with Skubal. And I think it makes sense.
I do think that is all true. I do think a Finnegan signing makes sense regardless of what they do there, because I think the Tigers probably view this as, we think we found something with Kyle Finnegan, because he was a completely different pitcher results-wise after coming over to Detroit. And if you look at his pitch usage, it's pretty clear what they told him to do. And it was, you're going to be throwing your splitter a lot more than you were previously. And at the cost of that, you are not going to be throwing your four-seamer. He threw his splitter roughly 30% of the time, just under, through the first 4 months of the season last year. He threw it 60%
Almost
of
60.
the time. Yeah. Since the start of August on. So yeah, like, is it that important? No. Would you like to know what you're doing with Skubal? Yes. But this is a guy that they're probably going to need in any capacity, regardless of what their path is. And maybe they've found a real diamond in the rough with what the tweaks that they made after the trade.
I know it's early. Well, is it? We're about halfway through the offseason. No? Yeah, we're about halfway through-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah. In terms of when stuff happens, yeah.
Who's the most improved? Because there's been a lot of, like, I mean, it's Schwarber back to the Phillies, Naylor back to the Mariners, like moves like that. So it's like, yeah, you're maintaining. Who's the most improved?
Well, I mean, that's why I said, is it not the Blue Jays for answering some of the questions that they have or that they had? But what are you going to say there? Well, what are they, what's going on with Bo? Is that going to be,
with Bo?
And so does that make it tougher to say the Blue Jays? I don't know. I feel like them solidifying themselves in the arms race the way they have kind of helps me lean towards the Blue Jays.
You think Dylan Cease swings the balance of power in terms of most improved conversation? Justin Havens.
This is the answer nobody's going to want to hear. I think right now it's the Dodgers.
Well,
because they have not subtracted anything that mattered, and they added probably the best
Edwin
reliever
Diaz
in baseball. So, or that was available. So everybody else, it's even the Blue Jays. It's like, well, we still have to answer the Bichette question. It's like Cease and Ponce. That's great. Answer this question. The Dodgers have no questions to answer, and they just added the best reliever. So that's my answer. How annoying is that?
I respect
by the way?
your bravery.
It's not annoying. Those are the facts.
You're not wrong. That's
Those are the facts.
what's you're not wrong.
Like I honestly, I take every question like that. I mean, and I've talked about this before. Like when Tiger Woods was at his peak powers in the clubhouse and around clubhouses all around baseball and other sports, when you were putting pools together about, the Masters and different tournaments, they're Tigerless, meaning you don't get to pick Tiger. Nobody gets to pick Tiger because everybody would, and that would essentially balance everybody's pool out to an extent where you'd just be splitting money across the entire fucking room. We're not doing that. So let's remove this guy. And now from there, let's have that conversation. So let's remove the Dodgers from this conversation for obvious reasons. And then from there, we can have that discussion because nobody wants to say, well, it's obvious that it's the Dodgers for every reason that Jayhay just said. They've gotten better. They have not gotten worse. They've added firepower to a team that has won back-to-back World Series championships. So yeah, that's the answer.
And like the money coming off the books for them is all just like, we're happy to have this money coming off the books.
Yeah. It's like Conforto.
And Kershaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they're finally catching a break, the Dodgers.
Yep. You
Yeah,
get
things are
you get
smoothing out for
Skubal.
'em.
Yeah. You trade for Skubal and, maybe things start to fall in place for him.
Yeah. Then they can
Wow,
really
see-
start cooking.
See, that's what's going to get you the hate.
Oh, I don't care. Yep. I like it.
Oh, don't confuse me for someone who cares.
I feed off of it.
Please don't.
Are you trying to be an asshole?
Well, is there anything else that you guys want to hit on?
No, I'm still shaking off that fucking Cody Ponce interview, man. That was great.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, for anyone that's like, this podcast wasn't long enough for my liking or my enjoyment, you're gonna get 2 basically bonus episodes in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours worth of interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Greg Amsinger was awesome. And Cody Ponce, it's probably a buzzer beater for interview of the year, guest of the year for Baseball is Dead.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah. So enjoy that. Enjoy that. Just like you're going to enjoy your Baseball is Dead merch when that finally hits.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I haven't bought a single article of clothing in anticipation.
Yes. Well, I mean, at the very least, we did see the mock-ups for what the merch is going to look like, and it is all new. I thought we were just going to be throwing shit on there that was already on there before, but we're getting a whole new revamp of BID merch. And I will say, some of it's like, you could probably wear that to a Pirates game, Dallas, and still fit in.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Big time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm welcome at a Pirates game, but
Yeah, me neither, but I don't care. I'm still going to go.
yeah, no, yeah. No. Yeah, for sure.
I think we should do that at some point this season. Did the A's go to Pittsburgh this year, Dallas?
No, we went to Pittsburgh last year.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about that. They went to Pittsburgh right after it was in Boston. And I said we should drive from Boston to Pittsburgh for the Paul Skeens A's tour.
Yeah.
That idea didn't get a lot of likes, but that's okay.
Yeah, you guys didn't want to do it. Could have took you to the Roberto Clemente Museum. Could have took you downstairs. Get to see a lot of really cool shit. We had pizza. We had wine. It was
cool,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
You could have watched me, get anointed with my Buccos jersey.
Well, the BID store is going to be on Shopify. I can tell you that right now. Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands like Baseball is Dead. Get started with your own studio design. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. Accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling, or best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. And if you're ready to sell, you are ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into cold hard cash with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/dead. Go to shopify.com/dead, shopify.com/dead. Okay, so because we have basically been recording for hours upon hours, we're going to do we want to do feud on Monday as well, or do we just wait for next Thursday?
We can do feud on Monday.
We can do feud on Monday.
A double feud? I kind of like a double feud next week.
Yeah, get fucking Milky involved here.
Yeah, let's do a special guest on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Milky
It'd be tough
on
we
feud?
can't do Milky because he works 10 to 2. We'll get someone. We'll get a special guest for Monday. Bonus feud, and the MVP Cy Young Revisited segment will be on Monday as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say enjoy your weekend, but you're going to see more of us in the coming days here.
Coming hours.
Yeah. Wow. Jayhay, any nugs today?
I do. I have some nugs.
Please.
I'm just so excited about what game we might be watching tonight. Oh, gosh.
Yes.
Will it be as exciting as Kenny Rogers' 1994 perfect game? I don't know.
Tough to say.
Robert Suárez by season, his K to walk percentage has gone from 13 to 16.7 to 21.9% over that same time. Ground ball rate's gone from 50% to 42% to 37%. He's a pitcher who is changing. Akil Baddoo, haven't heard his name in a while. He's back. He's in an agreement on a major league contract with the Brewers. Baddoo broke out in 2021 with a 766.
Amelia Bedelia. You ever heard of her?
I do remember that. 766 OPS with a 112 OPS plus in the parts of 4 seasons since. He has a 612 OPS with a 72 OPS plus. So looking for a bit of a bounce back there. Alluded to it earlier. Most saves across 2024 to 2025. Robert Suárez is first with 76. Raisel Iglesias, notably fifth with 63. One thing I did want to note, this isn't a nug, but it's sort of a nug. Actually, I'll save that one for last. Mike Yastrzemski had the lowest WOBA against left-handed pitchers for any batter with at least 100 plate appearances against them last season. So useful, but possibly becoming more of a platoon player as we go. His slugging against fastballs has gone from 589 to 574 to 461 to 467 to 435, all the way down to 383 last season. Something to keep an eye on there. And then the last nug of the day is Dallas. So Fangraphs does Zips projections for every team, obviously, and then Dan Zimborski, who does it, breaks them up by team, and then he does a little write up on all of them. And for each guy, he does historical comps based on the math, the statistics, the trajectory of the players at that player's age. Nick Kurtz, I just read the A's one earlier today. I'm a little bit behind, but Nick Kurtz's top 2 age-specific comps right now: Mark McGwire and Jimmy Fox. How beautiful is that? I mean, you literally can't name better ones. It's like, unless Giambi was going to show up, right? Yeah.
Oh, that is so fucking tasty. So tasty.
Yeah. So looks like we're still on that Hall of Fame path for Nick Kurtz, and those are the nugs.
Oh,
God, that makes me feel so good. Yeah. I think it's tough to. I think it's tough for teams who are not heavy in the conversations during this time of year to get excited about what the future looks like, especially if you haven't reeled in one of these marquee free agents. But something that, as we learned yesterday, and something that I understand, is there's probably still some things to take care of in-house. So if your favorite team did not land one of these guys who let's remember there are still plenty of options out there right now. Doesn't mean your season is over before it has already started. So hold fast. This is just the winter meetings. There's still an opportunity for a lot of things to happen leading up to, even into spring training. We know that guys at times take time to get there. So just hold tight. Your season is not over before it has begun. Just a little advice.
All right. We'll see you guys tonight. We're going to be doing the classic MLB Classic live watch on the YouTube channel on playback for the last time. If anyone didn't hear, playback is done. Dunzo, canceled, done. So we'll still be able to do those streams without playback, but it sucks losing playback. But we will see you guys for the classic rewatch tonight, followed by the Greg Amsinger interview tomorrow and the Cody Ponce interview on Saturday. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and we will see you guys later tonight.
We out.